You're a mum, you're a mum, you're a busy mum. Come listen to the Busy Mum podcast. Life hacks and inspiration for the busy modern mum.
This podcast is sponsored by Boobs on the Run. Melanie Warman is the founder of Boobs on the Run. The entire ethos of Boobs on the Run is to teach women to not only run, but become inspirational women, carving out time for themselves and increasing their confidence. Mel has also started teaching children how to run properly as well. This business is called Kids on the Run. Mel was one of my very first guests on the podcast last year. You can learn more about her at episode 2. Mel and her wonderful team teach women and children how to run properly and sustainably. You can reach Melanie at www.boobsontherun.com.au or email her at info@boobsontherun.com.au.
So, Lenore, welcome to the Busy Mum podcast. How are you this morning?
I am fantastic. How are you, Jackie?
I'm all right. I had a few drinks with my mum last night, so I'm actually a little bit rusty, but that's what we do. Like, she flies over from Perth, we have a few wines, talk a lot of crap, and then wake up the next day going, oh, that's right, that's why we don't drink, because we feel like rubbish the next day. So I said to her, no drinks tonight, even though it's a Friday night. I'm like, no, it's not happening. So that's a bit about me.
I love it. I love that you can do that with your mum. I do a very similar thing with my mum, but it's usually over a cup of tea. Sometimes a wine, Sometimes a wine,
yeah. Limit the wines. So just define for me yourself and what you do in your business and everyday life.
Okay, well, I guess a good place to start is that I'm a mum of 3 kids. I've got 2 boys and a girl. Toby is 13, Lucas is 9, and Audrey is 5. I have just celebrated 14 years of marriage. Good going. We survived this long. It's fantastic. And my youngest is just about to start school. So where for the first time in 13 years I'm going to be without a child at home, which is kind of exciting, but at the same time I think I'm going to be a bit lonely for a little while, not having a little person following me around and just keeping me company. But I think right now I'm a mum rediscovering herself is the best way to describe me. And we're also navigating the teenage years with my eldest. He turns 13 in a week. So that's heaps of fun. It's a different ball game, that. So we're fumbling our way through that at the moment. But apart from that...
Sorry, do you read books about that?
Oh, I am at the moment. I am reading a book. It's called 21 Days to a Happier Family. So, and I'm only up to number 3. So far, so good.
Sorry, I interrupted you there because I was like, like teenagers, like you've got 2 boys, I've got 2 girls. It's going to be obviously a completely different journey that we're both going through, because I think my 9-year-old has already started to come into the hormonal stage of her life, yes, with the attitude and stuff. And I think, like, looking at my friends that have boys, I think they're more active with the boys, and it's not so much like all the questions maybe. Am I on the right track here? Boys and girls, very, very different, especially when they start going through that developmental stage, which we're going through with my 9-year-old at the moment. But, yeah, with the boys, I don't know, they do tend to get a bit more moody, but they tend to release it a lot more in being active and, rough and tumble kind of things with the girls, even though my daughter's only 5 at the moment. It's more a psychological kind of a battle
thing, it is. It really is. There's a lot more questioning. There's a lot more defiance and wanting to know why. And so we're battling that at the moment. And she's only 5, so I don't know what she's going to be like when she's 9.
Oh my God, they just get moodier. I think that's what I boil it down to. That you just got to kind of like, and they remember a lot of stuff that you say. Like, if you promise that you're going to do something, you got to follow through, because they will just start calling you a liar. You're such a liar. You said you're going to do this, and it's like, well, it's not that black and white, right? And this is what I struggle with the kids, is they put everything into a black and white box, and it's either right or wrong, or yes or no. It's never like a maybe in their mind. So
yeah, that's actually really interesting too, because I found that different with the boys compared to my daughter, is that she will hold you to your word, and if you don't, she will question you and she'll fight you every step of it. Whereas with the boys, I felt I could reason with them a little bit more, and they were a little more accepting of what I they just kind of, okay, Mum. But yeah, my daughter's a bit different. She'll hold you to your word,
which is yay. And great accountability partner, but also hard work. So your business, it's a meditation and holistic counselling business. Like, how did you get into that? Was this your profession from before that you've just turned into a business, or how did that evolve?
It evolved. It really did. I actually started my profession as a primary school teacher, and I did that for 5 years.
Sorry, my husband just gave me this green juice, and I'm like trying to get really healthy, and I'm like,
taste that.
It's extremely healthy. Continue on.
I can tell. I did teaching for 5 years, and then I started a family, and it changed for me. I found I was starting to lose patience, I think, in my teaching, and I was coming home and I was grumpy, and I didn't have time for my child and to deal with what he needed from me. And the moment that started to happen, I thought, okay, maybe this is not the right thing for me right now. So I then did various other things that kind of brought me to where I am now. But I think the biggest catalyst for starting my business was going through postnatal depression with the kids, with all three of them. And by the time I had my daughter, it was pretty bad. Oh. And I just got to the point where I thought there has to be a better way than battling this all the time. And, I spoke to people. I did all the things you do when you're going through something like that, but it just wasn't sitting really well with me. So I started to research and find my own ways of coping with it. And I got myself through it. It was a lot of hard work. It was not easy, and it wasn't an easy process at all. And it led me to working as a workshop consultant for KTK, and running their workshops on happiness and goals and mindfulness, which was fantastic. I absolutely loved what I was doing, but I thought, what, I would really love to do this more one-on-one with people, because I really felt there was a need there to go further with people and what they were experiencing in life. So then I found this wonderful course to do, and got a diploma in holistic counselling and meditation therapy, because meditation was one of the things that really helped me get through the depression and anxiety as well. And holistic counselling is a little bit different, I guess. You're counselling and coaching people, so you kind of see what has brought people to where they are now, and then you help them move forward from that point. And it looks at all areas of a person's life. So essentially what I do is I hold up a mirror to all areas of a person's life. And I know that sounds scary, but it's so essential, because every area plays a part. And I just help people work towards what they want in each of those areas and how to achieve it. But essentially we all know what we want. It's just having someone to kind of bring that out in you and help you be a little braver to achieve it.
Yeah, we all know the right thing to do, but then we get stuck in our habits, don't we? Because they've been there forever.
Absolutely. And I mean, I am by no means an expert at balancing all areas of my life. There's still areas that need work, but it's just knowing, it's building your own self-belief and self-confidence, and knowing that you can do this, and just having someone, I think, there to just guide you to pretty much what you already know.
Absolutely. I always struggled, I was in the financial planning industry for 13 years, and I never wanted to become a financial advisor because I always felt like I wasn't an expert in that field, even though I'd done all the study and everything, and I just didn't want to be responsible for that person's financial well-being, really, because it's a big thing. But now I've come to the point where no one's really an expert. They're just a contributor to, no one knows everything. They might know a lot of a certain area, but they're just a contributor, I think. And once my mindset's like that, I find I can move on with my everyday life easier, because I know that I'm not branding myself as an expert or a guru, but I can contribute to your knowledge in some way, shape or form.
Absolutely. And I love that way of looking at it, because I get imposter syndrome, and I'm like, well, who am I to tell these people what they should and shouldn't be doing when I can't even keep it together myself? But I'm confident enough to know that I know things that have worked, and if I can help one person change one thing about their life for the better, then awesome, I've done what I've set out to do. So
awesome. So what is your typical day then look like?
Well,
or what do you want it to look like?
Well, I usually, when I wake up first thing in the morning, I can hear that the kids are settled, no one's killing each other, and I lie there for a minute and I'm like, okay, I'm going to start my day by yelling at the kids. I will not start the day by yelling at the kids. And then I get up very calmly, walk into the kitchen, and there's cereal all over the floor, and the little one's tried to pour milk and it's splashed all over the counter, and no one's changed and ready for school, and I'm just like, it all goes downhill from there. And then getting them out the door, and the whole street knows we're leaving the house because there's arguments. So that's a typical morning in my house. But
cheers.
I think that's a typical morning in a lot of people's houses. But what I do make sure that I do in my day is have a morning and evening ritual. I don't call it a routine. I call it a ritual, because routine to me is something you just kind of do on autopilot, and you're not necessarily thinking of what you're doing and what you're getting out of it. So I try to, I call it more of a ritual. So I have my morning ritual and I have my evening ritual. And I make sure that, if those two things can happen in my day, then it's an awesome day, because they're just two little things that I do just for myself. And then I find that my whole day is more productive, and I'm more even-keeled by the time my husband gets home from work, and everything's just flowing. So
is that meditation that you do?
It does include meditation, yes. In the morning, it's usually a cup of tea, always a cup of tea. Depending on the weather, and right now it's like 40 degrees, so I don't sit outside, but usually I love to sit out in the sun and have my cup of tea. I do a little guided meditation. I also do a yoga session in the comfort of my own lounge room, and then I usually burn some nice essential oils or some incense, and just get the whole nice vibe happening. And then I'm ready to tackle my day, answer emails, do some blog posts, or meet with clients. Yeah, and then of an evening, it's a similar kind of thing where I just have a cup of herbal tea, and I sit with a book, a really good book, nothing that requires nothing that's going to get me anxious and worked up right before bed. So no psychological thrillers or anything like that. It's usually a really uplifting kind of a self-development kind of a book.
And what books are you reading now? Like, where do you go to get your entertainment?
Okay, well, Entertainment. Books are my life. You only have to look at my Instagram feed to see all the books that I'm reading. I'm one of those really bad people who swears they're not going to buy any more books until they read what they've got, and then I just keep buying them. So I've got about 50 waiting for me. But at the moment, I'm reading Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He was in a German concentration camp. And yeah, it's I'm only a part way through it, but the whole, I think, crux of the book is that it doesn't matter what you go through in life, there's always a meaning, and always look for the meaning. And I really love that. That's kind of my approach to life now. So I'm really enjoying that. Netflix, I go to Netflix. These days I tend to stick to some lighthearted comedies. There's enough going on in my head at the best of times, so I don't want anything I have to think and concentrate too hard on. So I go for the, sitcoms. I love to watch that. And same with podcasts. I love listening to a good podcast. I'm really enjoying Oprah's Super Soul Conversations at the moment.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one.
Oh, she's amazing. I mean, she's just such a beautiful person that she interviews everyone, and they talk about life and meaning of spirituality and, things that they've come up against in their life, and she just approaches it in such a beautiful, genuine way. So I love listening to her. And I also listen to the Wellness Women, who are fantastic. So everything about health and wellness from a holistic point of view too, which is awesome.
Awesome. And you mentioned in there, because I skipped a question, what's the best advice you've received? But I think it was taken from that book that you're reading as well.
It is. Best advice from Viktor Frankl is a quote. It says that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way.
Yeah, so I like that.
That is my favourite quote, favourite bit of advice is that, there's a lot of things in life that we can't control as much as we'd like to, but the only thing you do have control over is how you approach the situation, your reaction to the situation, and that's the one thing you do have control over. So that's how I approach a lot of things in life now.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, shit is going to get thrown at you. It's going to happen. You've got to have those hard conversations. It's just like you go, okay, the only thing that you're actually in control of is your brain up here, and how you, as this quote says, approach it. And even like on one of my goals for this year is to be happier, and even fake happier until I'm actually happier, sometimes. Yeah. And because sometimes I smile, like when I started, I smile at myself every morning. And when I first started doing it, I felt like this doesn't feel natural, like it feels like it's going. But after you do it a while, like you tend to be a more smiley person. So like that's one thing that I can control, because no one else is going to make you happy. You've got to make you happy. So yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Now I'll just completely jump to a different question. So there's no segue in this at all. Sorry about that. It's not very smooth interviewing. What is your go-to dinner?
Spaghetti bolognese. That is the one meal I know I'm not going to get any complaints about, and that everyone will eat everything in their bowl. We've got not overly fussy eaters, but they know what they like and they know what they don't like. And they're guaranteed there will be one child who's not happy with something I've made. But it's there. You eat it or you don't. And spaghetti bolognese is the one thing I know just it works.
Is it an old family recipe, or is it different every time?
Well, my mum did teach me, because I come Italian background, so you would think that I would have some great cooking skills and recipes up my sleeve, but now, I mean, she taught me how to do it all from scratch, and it was amazing. But now I just go to Aldi and I get the organic pasta sauce and use that.
Still kind of from scratch.
It
Someone
makes
made
me
it
feel
from
better
scratch.
to know that it's organic. That's right. So, and that works well.
Well, yeah, I only asked because like my mum, as you know, my mum's over at the moment, and she makes spaghetti a different way to what I make spaghetti. But I made it her way last night. So with the chicken legs. So you put the chicken legs in, and then you get like your Aldi pasta sauce, put that all in, and some herbs and spices and all things nicest, and then you just bake it for like 3 lots of 45 minutes, and the chicken just melts off the bone, and I'm like, oh my God, why haven't I made it like this in so long? And then even my daughter ate it, and she doesn't really eat that much meat, the young one, and it's usually like a big fuss about like, oh, why do you make me eat meat? Blah. And it's like, well, you eat chicken nuggets. It's like a chicken nugget, right? So, but she ate it, and I was like, oh, and she goes, it just tastes like chicken. I'm like, well, what did you think it was going to taste like? You know, chicken tastes like chicken. Like, it's not going to have this weird tasting smell to it. It's just...
They're funny little things when it comes to food, and my kids are the same. Like, you know, they'll eat chips, but they won't have potatoes.
Or mashed potato.
No mashed potato, no boiled potato, nothing. They don't like potatoes, but they'll eat chips. And I'm like, but what do you think chips are made out of?
Yeah, they're made out of potato, and they're just covered in fat. So, like, seriously, guys. Okay, speaking about fat, I don't know why. What's one area of your life you'd like to improve? A lot of people say fitness, but it's not that. Sorry, that was so bad.
It's not a problem. Look, actually, I'm doing my yoga for that reason, just so I can tone up. But
don't worry, I suffer from the wobbly arm syndrome, so that's
I
all
think
fine.
we all do after kids. That just everything goes south after kids. So the one thing I would like to improve is my relationships. So last year was a big year for me, and it was really all about my relationship with myself, and it was a very necessary thing to do last year for numerous reasons. And, you know, while a lot of people probably couldn't understand the journey I was going on, it was so worth it. By the end of the year, I just came out of it such a different person. So this year, it's more about my relationships with other people is the area I want to work on, especially with my husband and my kids, because they were so extremely patient with me and everything I was doing last year and writing a book, and they just took it in their stride, and I love them for it. And this year it's about giving back to them, I think, in our relationships and spending more time together and making memories.
Beautiful. Do you go on regular date nights?
My husband and I have a date night every week, but it doesn't necessarily mean leaving the house. So Saturday night is our date night, and we're now, you know, that couple that if something else came up on a Saturday night, we get really upset because it means we can't have date night. We don't like to, you know, we're happy sitting and watching an episode of something or watching a movie and getting some takeout, and that's our little indulgence, and it's our time together. It'd be nice to go out once in a while. We haven't been able to do that in a little while, but that's another thing that we're working on this year. I said, we need to just spice things up a little bit this year. We need a bit more romance. A little bit more romance would be great.
A little bit more like, you know, flowers, wine.
Yeah.
Get up all dolled up in a dress and go out. I love doing that.
Exactly. I haven't done that in ages, so it'd be nice to be able to do that once in a while.
Yeah. Well, you got to book it in. That's the thing. You got to book it in. Your book. You mentioned you're writing a book. I'm trying to write a book.
I am.
It takes a long time.
Fantastic.
To write a book. It's on relationships.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get you to read it. I don't know.
Fantastic. I will. I'd love to read it.
Oh, well, you know, I'm still at that stage where I'm like, I've written some words and no one can read them yet.
I know.
What's your book on?
My book is it is a personal development book, and it is about navigating your way through life's journey, and it's got a bit of a nautical theme to it. So it's all kind of set, with the ocean and a ship, and it's kind of a whole metaphor for life. And there's a bit of my story in it and things I've come up against and how I've dealt with them, but also just really practical, down-to-earth ways of dealing with things that come up in life, whether it's a traumatic event or whether it's just, changing a job, or the kinds of people you meet and all their different characteristics and how to cope with that. And ultimately, in the end, learning to trust and love yourself and be strong in who you are first before you can then give to other people. And it was a very necessary book for me to write. It was actually a dream come true, and it's not something I thought that I would be doing so soon. I thought it was something way down the track as the kids were older, but the opportunity came up and I jumped on it. And I'll tell you now, I think giving birth to a book is harder than giving birth to a child. It really is. It's all, it's a very internal process, and it's scary putting yourself out there for everybody, but I think if you're confident enough in yourself that this is a book that's going to change lives, then, you do what you have to do and you get it out there, and, it's an awesome thing to be doing. It's a brave thing to be doing. So, enjoy the process.
It's scary. It's too scary. How long did it take you to write your book?
4.5 months.
Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah. It was plugging away at it every day, and I had a really good book coach who helped me. She's actually an editor in the US, and she's actually the one who contacted me with this opportunity, and she was incredible. She coached me through this. Her name's Dallas, and she's absolutely beautiful, and without her I wouldn't have actually known where to start really with the whole process. And she was just amazing, helping me through this and just guiding me and encouraging me, which ultimately I think is just really what you need, is that encouragement. And because there were days where I'm like, I can't do this. I can't put myself out there. I can't put this book out there. But then once you read back over what you've written and you feel how it resonates with you, you think, no, this needs to be told. Yeah.
So is it going to be a self-published book, or is it going to be in a publishing house? See, I don't even know the terminology yet.
Yeah, no, it's a self-published book,
yeah.
And it was really important, I think, to go down that avenue for me. You've got a bit more control over the end product with your self-publishing, where, there's pros and cons to both self-publishing and going through a traditional publisher. But I think for my first book, it was really, really important that I said all the things I wanted to say and have the book cover designed the way I wanted it, and just the finished product exactly how I wanted it. So self-publishing.
When is it released, or have you released it?
Not yet. We're just like on the verge. I'm just waiting to get it back from the editor. A friend of mine is editing for me, and once that's ready to go and I just fix everything up, we're ready to upload and go. So,
oh my God. Well, good luck with it all. I will definitely be contacting you again about it, because I need to, I haven't written anything this year. I've just kind of, I got up to 19,000 words and I'm like, yay! And then I'm like, oh, now what? I've still got chapters to write. I should just write them. So it's just like I think finding that time and making that time to do it. And as you said, it's consistency, isn't it? Every day you need to plug away at it.
Absolutely. And, it doesn't have to be hours either. If you can get a half hour of just some solid writing done, that's great. That's a bit done. So it's just a little bit every day.
I think that's a perfect amount of time, really, because if you know in your head you've got to sit there for 3 hours and write, then you won't do it. You won't do it at all.
And I was the world's biggest procrastinator. I always had an excuse for getting up and, I need a cup of tea, or I'm just going to go outside and get some fresh air, or I could do with a piece of chocolate right now. So there was lots of procrastinating. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So, apart from procrastination, what's your greatest fear and how do you deal with it?
I think right now it's something happening to one of the kids. I think that's out of my control, something that I can't help. And it's all coming back to that whole control thing. But I don't think that's something that's ever going to go away, really, as a mum. It doesn't matter how old your kids are. That's something that's always there. But the way I deal with that best is just making every day count. It's just the little things, sitting with them for 5 or 10 minutes, playing a game, answering their 50 questions for the millionth time, and it doesn't have to be big things. I would love to do an overseas trip and have a really memorable holiday together, but yesterday we just went to the Olympic pools for the first time in 13 years. We're a bit behind the times. But it was amazing. They had the best time. And my 9-year-old son and I went down the big water slide. And I haven't gone down a big water slide in 30 years. And I nearly died. But
you didn't really die.
Well, it kind of sucked me under as I came out the other end. And I'm just like, oh. But my son thought I was the coolest mum ever. So it was, it's just those little things and showing them that you can be brave as well. So then when they come up against things in their life, they're a little more resilient and brave to be able to deal with it themselves. So
we have a little motto in our family because it gets said quite a lot. It's I'm scared, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm scared, but I'm doing it. And it's mainly around swimming. Because my youngest child has a fear of swimming. She fell into the pool once. It was horrific. But I'm scared, but I'm doing it. And we just transfer that across to all the different things that they're scared of.
Yeah.
She had a fringe cut yesterday and she was embarrassed. I go, you're scared, but you're doing it. You look super cute. It's fine. It's just a fringe. But she was getting all worked up from it. And it's just those, they seem really trivial because they're little things, but in their head, it's the biggest thing that's happening to them.
It's massive.
World. Yeah. So
exactly.
Giving
I love
them those
that.
little tools to get through that. Yeah. Okay, I've got 3 quick questions, and then I'll let you get on with your day, or chill out, whichever you do. Okay, first question: what websites have you signed up to recently that you actually find value in receiving their emails?
I get emails from Mel Robbins, so it's called Take 5 with Mel, and Mel Robbins is the author of the 5-second rule. I don't know if you've read that. It's a great book and it's a great concept, and it's about dealing with fear and just doing it anyway. So, and I love getting her emails, and it just happens that every time I get those emails, there happens to be something in it that really resonates with me at that point in time.
That's amazing.
It is. Yeah. And she's got little video clips and she shares playlists of songs to listen to, and I find that really, really beneficial.
Cool. What's one piece of advice you'd give your pre-baby self?
Let go of perfectionism. If there is anything that is going to knock the perfectionist wind out of your sails, it's having a child. I used to get knocked for my perfectionism and how everything just had to be everything had a place. Having a child just teaches you that there's no such thing as perfectionism. It's just, you just got to go with it, and you do have to change things, and you can't be so rigid because there's these other little people who just come with their own set of rules and
ideas.
That's it. And they really challenge you, and you just got to go with it.
Yeah, beautiful. Love that answer. And final question, what is the most useful or useless baby item you have?
Okay, so the most useful baby item I had was a microwave sterilizer. That was brilliant. So 4 minutes and they were done. It's great when you've dropped all the dummies on the floor and you're desperate, and it just that was my favourite thing. My most useless thing for me was the baby Bjorn, the baby carrier.
The carrier.
Well, the thing, nothing against baby Bjorn, but for me, my son, my first son, he was a nugget. He was a chunky bubba, and when I put him
a mini elephant.
he was just, he was just all rolls, and when I put him in, his little legs would get stuck. I couldn't pull him back out of it, and I'm like, and if I was there by myself, I'm just like, okay, how the hell do I get out of this thing? How do I pull him out? It was just, and then the first time I used it with him, I was carrying him around. We just went for a little walk out in the sun, and I think I ached for a week afterwards because of the weight of him pulling down on my shoulders. I'm like, so we never used it again. We used it once, and it's just like.
Did you stick to the pram then? You were more of a pram? Yeah. Fair enough. Excellent. Well, it's been fantastic speaking with you today, Lenore.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's been a pleasure.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Jackie.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Busy Mum podcast. Don't forget to let your friends know, and also subscribe to the iTunes channel, and also my socials if you want to see what I'm getting up to. A brand new episode is out every Monday morning, just like clockwork.